everyone. I'm really struggling at the moment. I'm not going to lie to you guys. The truth of the matter is that I've been coughing late at night I've been coughing quite continuously for like a few weeks now. And it's worse at night, which means I can't sleep properly. I can sleep, but not properly. And my sleeping hours are out of whack. On top of that, weapons are continuously being fired at my head to try to induce some kind of schizophrenia or dementia. Now, my memory isn't so great and my speech isn't great, of course, because of the brain damage that is being inflicted by the weaponry that is being fired on my head. And I have BPD, which means I can flip between a normal, well, this is the psychiatric definition anyway. I can flip between a normal way of being and psychosis, right? And what I notice is that when I get really sick, I dissociate more. Now, people often mistake the dissociation of a borderline with hallucinations, with the hallucinations of a schizophrenic. Dissociation and hallucinations are not the same. When you're hallucinating, you can't tell what reality is. But when you're dissociating, your thoughts and emotions are so powerful, they can voluntarily come out of you without realizing it. There's a difference. It's like with borderline, cognitively, you know where you are and you know what you're doing and you know what's going on. It's just that sometimes you can be so overwhelmed by your experiences or by sight, sounds, or even smells sometimes that you can dissociate because it's literally triggering your emotions. The core thing about paranoid schizophrenia, or indeed, well, the key thing about any mental illness is stress on the emotions. But with borderline personality disorder, it's all emotion. It's not like you feel something or you think something because of a hallucination you had. No, it's a culmination of all your experiences having an effect on your emotions being incredibly heightened and literally taking up your physical body as a result. It takes up space, and it can be incredibly exhausting, and it can be incredibly debilitating. And you know, this is the thing about borderline personality disorder people. They get a lot of hatred, and it's not because some BPD people, you know, can be dishonest sometimes. It's not because, you know, it's not necessarily because, you know, we're bad people. It's just that, first of all, we do a lot of stimming, which means when we feel a certain amount of emotions, we repeat a lot of things over and over. Like kind of in the same way an autistic person does, but this is an autism. This is like an attempt to calm your emotions down, because your body will do certain things to try to calm you down. So borderline people stim a lot. That's one thing that we do. Another thing that we do is we unwittingly like think out loud, because our thoughts and our emotions are so powerful, and they take up, when we feel something and when we think something, it can take up our entire bodies. So for us, it's not as easy as being able to control that. And for the longest time, people have treated me as if it's something that I can control, or as if it's something that I could help, to the point where even I started to believe it, and I started feeling like a failure because of it. But again, even without the electronic weapons inducing all of this shit, and the sleep deprivation inducing all of this shit, even without that, this is still something that I can't help. What I mean to say is, in the first place, BPD is not something somebody else can help. That is reliant upon the environment that it finds itself in. And a lot of the time, I'm surrounded by people who continuously make my life more stressful. And it actually gets worse when you're around people that you love, because people that you love will take the piss with you. They continuously take the piss when it comes to their treatment of you. I've done it. My family's done it to me. We take the piss all the time because we're looking for somebody to bully. So it's like, you know, that's what families do. Families bully each other. Like 9 times out of 10, most families are dysfunctional. Most of us will bully each other for the sake of it. That's just how it is. And then add a mental health thing on top of that, and you can see why I prefer to live by myself and not see too many people. So you've got people that you love making your situation worse. You've got, neighbors, community people making the situation worse. Because if they're not deliberately antagonizing you, like what happens with some normal people? Some normal people find themselves antagonized by their neighbors. Some normal people with BPD find themselves antagonized by their neighbors or antagonized by the communities in some way. If it's not loved ones making it worse, it's the community making it worse. And then on top of that, the anxiety and the depression that the borderline can bring on, it makes you stay in your home, but you have cabin fever. You become more susceptible to cabin fever than the average person, because the BPD, it just causes you to like, it just be emotionally overwhelmed all the fucking time. So it's like, yeah, you stay in, you're clearly depressed, but because you've got anxiety along with it, you're bouncing off the walls constantly. Or conversely, when you have BPD and you go out a lot, it means that you're anxious, and you know your anxiety is heightened, and it's like it's exhausting as well. But then you're still depressed, which means you're going out, you're doing all these things, and you run out of energy so fucking quick. Like again, a lot of people like to misdiagnose these things and not really understand how exhausting BPD is just by itself. You guys got to remember, I've got ADHD as well. And a lot of the symptoms that I've just spoken to you could be applied to ADHD as well. Maybe not the dissociating, but the stimming, definitely. The feeling of being overwhelmed sensorially. ADHD is like when you get overwhelmed sensorially. So I get that too. So imagine somebody like me with BPD and ADHD, and I haven't had the proper diagnosis, hadn't had the proper care, and have instead being treated as a paranoid schizophrenic on purpose because of the targeting. So it's like, you know, both of those things, I've got BPD and ADHD, and a lot of the symptoms kind of intersect. For a normal person going through life, that would be hellish enough. But then I'm a targeted individual. Not only do I have to endure that, I have to endure people being spiteful for the sake of it. Well, it's not really for the sake of it, it's because they've been paid to do it. I have to endure people being spiteful when I'm just getting on with my life and I'm not angry enough. I have to endure people breaking into my home. I have to endure the police not doing anything and then turning around and blaming my mental health for things going missing out of my home when they shouldn't be going missing, or people saying things that they shouldn't be saying and trying to act like they didn't say it. So it's like, you know, I've got BPD and ADHD. I've got other stuff going on as well, don't get it twisted, but it's like just those two things alone, on top of community stalking, community harassment, on top of electronic torture, on top of mental health professionals deliberately diagnosing you as paranoid schizophrenic to feed you antipsychotics that make the whole thing worse, fuck up your hormones. So on top of, you know, the BPD and the ADHD, you've got hormone issues to deal with on top of that, which throws your mental health even more out of whack. So that you can be debilitated enough not to look after yourself whilst you're being tortured to death. So imagine having BPD and ADHD and fucking hormonal issues because of the misdiagnosis and the forced medications, which luckily I haven't been subjected to much of, right? Imagine all of that, and you're still being attacked with electronic weapons. You're still having them fired at your lungs. You're still having them fired at your head. You're still having them fired at different parts of your body, to the point where your body doesn't even look the same. Your skin's really bad because of the non-ionized radiation. Your immune system is not performing the way it should because of the non-ionized radiation. There's an increased risk of diabetes because of a combination of the non-ionized radiation and the forced medications. One TI that I know has diabetes as a direct result of the forced medications that they were never supposed to be on. So there are so many illnesses that could be recreated just through brainwaves and just through electronic torture. But because it's more profitable to have us alive and going through this, there will always be a cover-up. There will always be this, this excuse that we have paranoid schizophrenia when a lot of us don't. With me, it's borderline personality disorder and ADHD on top of premenstrual dysmorphic disorder as well. I have all of these three things on top of the fucking 24/7 torture that I have to endure. Imagine if I didn't explain this to people. Imagine if I didn't understand my own illnesses the way that I do. I would be in a chaotic mess. And truth be told, that's exactly what the gangstalkers want. They want me in a position where I'm not able to explain my illnesses, where I'm not able to figure things out, where I'm not able to do things for myself. That is one of the points of the sleep deprivation and the mental health torture. Another reason is to kill you through your nervous system. Another reason is to deplete your immune system so that you're less resilient to illness, like with this fucking cough that I've had for weeks. So the whole point is definitely to kill you, but it's just to do so slowly through this torture. And can I be honest with you guys, right? I want to say it's hell, but there are a few things to consider. The first thing is that I have probably one of the least harmful examples of being a TI. The reason why over the years I've gotten so much better at coping and I'm so much more lucid than a lot of my other TI friends is because the torture I get is actually, I'm still being tortured, don't get it twisted, right? But the torture is actually quite minimal in comparison to a lot of TIs. That's why a lot of them can't explain what's going on as well as me. Or if they can, they find themselves tortured while they're trying to explain things. A lot of TIs are bedridden. A lot of TIs are just completely hammered to the point where they can barely think. So that's why a lot of them, when they get on screen, they can't really explain things as well as me. And even then, I'm not necessarily the most articulate person because one, I talk in swings and roundabouts. And two, my memory's fucked. And three, I can ramble. So it's like, even I, can't explain things that well, but I can explain them for the simple reason that I don't get it as bad as other TIs. I don't get it as bad as they do. That's one of the reasons why I'm able to come on camera and talk to you about this right now. That's the first thing. The second thing is that, again, I want to say that I'm going through hell, but you have to think about what people went through in Rwanda because of Crimson Mist. You have to think about what Palestine's going through right now, what the Congo's going through right now. This is not hell. This is not hell. I can say that, it feels like hell or what. It feels like hell, yes, but that's very, very different compared to actually living in it. This is not hell. This right here This is not what hell looks like. This is not what hell feels like. I hate it with a passion. I hate being tortured. I hate being electronically tortured. I hate having my home broken into every day. I hate fucking being psychologically tortured by people who are way less sane than I am. And I hate the fact that the word of people who are less sane than I am matters more than mine. And I hate the constant humiliation. I hate the constant slander. I hate the constant mind games. I hate all this shit. But hell, I cannot say in my heart of hearts that this is what hell looks like. I can't say that. Because there are people in the world who are going through the electronic weapons and having their loved ones slaughtered and being slaughtered themselves and going through famine and going through... I live in the fucking UK. Things are getting worse here, that's for sure. Financially and politically, things are definitely getting worse. Things are definitely getting worse, but there's a reason why people from war-torn countries are coming over here. There's a reason for that. It's because the colonialism of this country has allowed even people like me to live relatively comfortable. So I can't say, as much as I hate it, as much as I hate going through this every day, I can't say in my heart of hearts that what I go through is hell on earth, because it's not. It's not. There are people who have died from this, of terminal cancer and heart disease and strokes and shit. And, truth be told, when the electronic torture happens, they don't really crank it up all that often. They don't really crank it up all that much. It's uncomfortable, sure, but it's like they don't really like increase it that much. Do you understand what I'm saying? Oh, that's another symptom that I wanted to talk about. Like just a constant stream of talking and communication. That's another symptom of the BPD and the ADHD. Just a constant stream of talking. So yeah, I can't, I hate what's happening to me, but I can't say in my heart of hearts that I'm going through hell. I never consented to this. It's incredibly abusive. I also got to add sexual assault to the list, because they sexually assault you through these weapons as well, because you can feel it in your genitalia, and they do that on purpose. And they will fire weapons on your rectum as well. Your rectum will have skin tags as a result of the weapons being fired on them. So yeah, I'm sexually assaulted through these weapons too, and I've been sexually harassed by this program, and I have been assaulted through this program too, but that's another conversation that I'll get into another time. But yeah, I've been through a lot throughout my life. I've been through a lot, but I can't say in my heart of hearts that it's hell. I can't. I can say that it's awful. It certainly is awful. Like I've had teeth breaking apart in my mouth because of the torture that I've endured. And my lower back, it's a miracle that I actually have the ability to walk and the ability to function, given the debilitating amount of torture that I've been put through. So I'm not saying that I consented to this or that this is an easy thing to go through. It's not. It really isn't. But again, I can't say genuinely that I'm going through hell. I can't. Because remember, there are people in other countries that are, I don't want to say third world because that's insulting, but there are people in the global south and in other places where the 4 horsemen are running rampant, that are going through everything that I'm going through, but not only 10 times worse, but they're also going through increased violence, increased illness, increased famine, you fucking name it. They're going through it all. I feel like in some aspects I've been blessed in that regard. I feel very blessed in some cases. in spite of everything that I have been put through in my life, I do feel blessed. Maybe I am blessed. You know, maybe I am blessed. You know, in spite of everything that I've gone through, maybe I am blessed, because it could be a lot fucking worse. Do you know what I mean? It could be worse than this, a lot worse than this. So yeah, what's the third reason? I think there was a third reason. Oh, the third reason is I shouldn't say this, right? But my third reason why I can say that, as difficult as it is, it's not hell for me. I'm the type of person who can survive without their mental health being intact. Let me explain. There are some people who need to be well to function. There are several people in my family, well, at least one person in my family anyway, who fit this criteria. They needed to be physically well to be mentally well, and they needed to be mentally well to be able to not fuck up their lives completely and to not self-sabotage to the point of ruining their lives, right? Now, as I've been going through this my entire life, you know, I've been chaotic. I have been chaotic. But the third reason why I can't say that I'm going through hell is because I don't need my body to have my mind, and I don't need to have my mind to be able to function. I feel like a lot of my life I acted weak because I was convinced that I was, but the truth of the matter is I'm actually a very resilient person. I don't need my body to have my mind. And I don't even need my mind to have my soul. All of that is still there. I don't need, you know, this program operates on the understanding that people need their bodies to have good mental health and good mental health to function. That's the kind of delusion that this program operates under, that everybody is the same. If you take away their bodily abilities, you take away their minds. You take away their minds, you take away all control over their emotions and their actions. But that's not really the same with me. In fact, the worse the torture has gotten, the more I found myself able to master how I feel and how I react to what's happening to me. So that's the third reason why I can't say that I'm going through hell. It's because I don't need my mind to be healthy to function. I really don't. I never needed it. You lot can see that. You lot can see that. I don't have a business yet. I'm still operating on my hobbies. But you've seen how far I've come in the last, 3 to 4 years now? You've seen how far I've come. I never needed, too much surrounding support to do that. My independence helped me. I never even needed my mental health. I've been sick my entire life. I never needed my mental health to fucking, have most of the things that I have. I never needed that. Do you understand what I mean? I never needed my health to get what I wanted and to be able to be resilient to this torture. In fact, having that pain there, it gave me a barrier to work against. It gave me a barrier to, upon which to, it gave me a wall to hit so that I could say to myself, okay, that's where the wall is, right? How do I get around that wall? Or how do I wait patiently until that wall is taken down? And that is how I've dealt with my obstacles. And the worse the torture has been for me, the more I'm like, okay, the wall's right there. Because when your abuse is particularly heightened, The boundaries become clearer. You got this wall right there. And you're thinking to yourself, how can I get through or around the problem? Or how do I wait patiently for the wall to crumble by itself? Because it always does, right? How long do I wait for that? And then it becomes a matter of using the overthinking that's part of your illness to do that work for you. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that's the third reason why I can't say that I'm going through hell. And those are three main reasons, Those are three main reasons. My targeting is minimal. There are people in the world going through a hell of a lot worse on top of the fucking torture. And I've never really needed my mental health to thrive. The same things that would make other people healthy, unfortunately, a lot of those things can make me even more ill. And ironically, that's actually because of the gangstalking. And yet the sicker I get, the more razor sharp I get, the more tactical I get, the better at running rings around my opponents that I get as well. So it's like, again, that, you know what? That's a fourth reason. The fourth reason is that my perps have no room to breathe with me. My perps have no fucking room to breathe, because if they leave me to my own devices and they keep the torture minimal and they keep everything quiet, then my main focus is going to be on what I'm supposed to be doing. But if the torture gets ramped up, then it's going to be about me taking control of the situation and running rings around my perps. So it doesn't matter. They don't win either way. So that's the fourth reason why I can honestly say that my targeting isn't hell. It's just one of those things. The same things that would, disempower other people, not being excellent, or, not leading a life of excellence, or, all the things that were supposed to bring me down and make me worse. The only thing they did was make me sharper, stronger, and more resilient. And it comes back to my third point. I do not need my mind. I don't need my mind to function. The intelligence that I have within me is primal. And that's a hard thing to kill. That's a hard thing to kill. Do you understand what I mean? So, yeah. There's mold back here. There's mold down here. I tried cleaning some of it yesterday. I tried cleaning some of it yesterday, and it helped somewhat, but no, this cough is stubborn. And this is the thing that I have to wonder. Given the upstairs neighbors, one of their kids has COVID or had COVID, I have to wonder if they might have passed that on to me by being in this flat while I'm not here. That's another thing that I have to wonder, because whilst we can go into, all the other factors of why people are sort of, fainting and dropping dead, the truth be told, right, COVID-19 is real. I'm not gonna fucking sugarcoat this. It is real. Just not for the reasons that you might think. But it is very fucking real. And if my neighbors have been in here with COVID, then they could have passed that down to me at some point. Or, somebody, yeah. They could have at some point they could have passed that down to me, on top of the electronic weapons that are being fired at my chest or fired at specific parts of my body to trigger coughing. So yeah, that's another thing we got to consider when it comes to this cough thing. A lot of people say, there's a bug going around. There ain't no fucking bug. There ain't no bug. The COVID-19 thing might be real. Again, not for the reasons that you think. But 9 times out of 10, it's non-ionized radiation combined with dying trees outside. Remember, those motherfuckers give us oxygen. So we got... So, of course, a lot of people's breathing is constricted. And think about how much radiation this phone carries. I'm talking to you guys right now on the phone. Just 2 minutes of me being on this thing can cause 2 hours of fucking brain damage. And I'm on this thing a lot. So the radiation from this thing and a lot of technology that I use, lit up. Do you understand what I'm saying? So many of us are surrounded by non-ionized radiation all the time. The Wi-Fi, I've got to cover up the Wi-Fi partially because the fucking radiation coming from that fucking thing is immense. And I've got a booster as well. BT sent around a booster. I wonder why that fucking is. Right? So the radiation coming from that thing, from my spotlight, anything with the blue light on it, anything with like any kind of LED light on it, the radiation is going to be lit the fuck up. My laptop isn't working. I'm kind of grateful that my laptop isn't working because that's more radiation. You saw on the video that I posted with me scanning myself how high the radiation from that motherfucking thing is. Do you understand what I mean? So normal people, like just normal people, are working with high levels of radiation every fucking day. And then on top of that, with people like me who are being electronically harassed on top of that, our radiation is high, but a lot of us find ourselves unable to function normally because of the sleep deprivation and the electronic torture. So our sleeping patterns are out of whack, which means as much as some of us want to leave our homes just to go out walking, just to go out, you know, just to like enjoy life like normal people, we go out, we got to consider what happens to our groceries, what happens to our food, what happens to our... Because people break in here. So it's like we're trapped in this endless cycle and this endless loop of being surrounded by radiation all the fucking time. And like I explained to you guys before, I am an example of what minimal gangstalking looks like. Imagine what that shit is like for other TIs who aren't so lucky. Just this endless cycle, endless loop of fucking radiation. To make it that much easier for the electronic weapons to catch you. That's what we go through every fucking day. Now I gotta commend some of these TIs out here, because some of these TIs go through worse than I do. They're still able to work. They're still able to throw themselves into work, throw themselves into exercise, throw themselves into doing productive things. I try to do productive things, but not on that fucking level. What? You're having a laugh. You're having a laugh. I couldn't manage what they manage. And it's not because I can't physically do it. It's because, again, BPD, ADHD, hormonal issues. My emotions couldn't cope. But yeah, it's just like an endless cycle of radiation that you end up going through. And all of this is affecting your brain capacity, because remember, your brain is being damaged by this radiation. It's affecting your oxygen level, which affects your aging, which affects your mental health, which affects your physical health. Like, it's a whole fucking cocktail of bullshit and fuckery that, a lot of TIs have to deal with over here. And that's exactly what I deal with every day. I want to go out and walk like a normal person. I don't want to go out and walk and worry that some dickhead is going to come and mess with my groceries or mess with my clothes or mess with my... Yeah, you know what I mean? I don't want to go out and fucking worry about it. I don't want to go out walking for 5 minutes and worry about whether something's going to be stolen from in here. Without visible signs of a break-in, which means some motherfucker's got a key. Because they're not picking a lock. If they were, I would be able to see it. You know what I mean? Like, nah. Like for TIs, it's a never-ending thing. A never-ending thing. Now, some of us get through it. Some of us find ways through it. I'm at that stage now where little holes. I'm starting to find my way through the holes in the wall. That's me. Somebody else might get around the wall. Somebody else might sit and wait for the wall to crumble, and it does eventually. You know, we can find little ways through, our own little ways through what is going on in our lives eventually. We find our ways through it, but nah, this shit is not easy, man. This is just this shit is not easy. And again, my heart goes out to all other TIs going through this, because I know you guys are getting hammered. I know you are. And given how scared these fucking perps have been, knowing that their chickens are coming home to roost. Like I said, Psalms 140, chapter 140, verse 11. Evil will come to overthrow the violent man. Evil is overthrowing the perps, the same evil that has been hurting us, torturing us, is the same evil that's overthrowing their minions, the minions that they hired to do this to us. And the reason why I say it's evil, it's because if it was good that were overthrowing the people that were doing this to us, we wouldn't be sent the bill. When evil overthrows evil, it is always the victims of evil that are sent the fucking bill. Always, without fail. Do you know what I mean? But yeah. And no, I'm not a Christian. But I do read the Bible and I do study it. But it's like, boy, listen, it's a never-ending cycle of evil and pain and hatred and delusion, and it's just never-ending. And us TIs navigating it, it's a lot to deal with. Yeah. Before I go, I'll get my notes out, because I took some notes from my interaction with Barry. If I couldn't get the video footage of me and him, I could at least get the notes. Just had to find that big book that I usually write everything down in. My place is a mess because, again, ADHD, BPD, lack of proper sleep. It'll do that to a person. And yeah, I fell asleep in this. Fucking sue me, alright? No, where did I put that book? There it is. Oh! Getting ready for the annual readings. I've got to make sure I save the page. So, with regards to how diseases can be caused, or illnesses can be caused in the body, again, it's always through the brain and nervous system, the golden crown and the silver cord, right? And as I've explained before, there are 600 pulses that can influence the brain, and there are over 10,500 biological structures that can be influenced and affect the brain. So, what's 600 times 10,000? When you have that type of power, you can create any type of illness, any type of affliction. You can create weeks-long coughing or anything like that. So it's like, again, you can't even live or die on your own terms. You got 600 pulses that can influence the brain. And the people doing this to us, they have access to all of that. They can make us suffer any disease at a fucking whim. They can take it away just as quickly because they have all the maps to the brain. They have all the brain waves that there are. And it's a matter of, I feel like this is where I'm getting into conjecture now. I feel like what's going on, right, is that they have 600 pulses that can influence the brain, but every single individual behaves differently. So it's a matter of finding similarities according to psychological profile, according to physical makeup, all these things. And I feel like they want to group together as many people as possible in one group. I don't necessarily think this is racial, even though, again, racial genocide is being committed. It's grouping individuals with particular psychological makeup and and physical makeup into one group. It's that group en masse to genocide them if necessary. Do you understand what I mean? To genocide them if necessary, to be able to control whether they live or die, those types of things. So I think what they've done with this technology is they've allocated targeted individuals into groups according to psychological profile and according to physical body. And what I think they've done is they've taken these 600 signatures and they've applied it to each group to see how our bodies respond to what we're being sent. And we can be sent these signals, I think, through acoustic weaponry. And also, I think it's through acoustic weaponry because we're talking about frequencies and waves, right? So I feel like we're sent these signals through acoustic weaponry, which can be very easy to do, right? They've got voice of God technology. And then on top of that, they've got the electronic weaponry that's also assisting the process. You know, you've got directed energy weaponry, you've got microwave weaponry, right? Helping the situation along. So I feel like what they're actually doing with this understanding of the brain is separating people into groups psychologically and in terms of physical response and physical makeup. Right on cue. Again, it doesn't have to be racial. It has been racial. There is racial genocide going on, like I said, but it does not have to be racial. It really doesn't. Right? If you have the same mindset and you have the same reactions to things, you can find yourself in a particular group as a targeted individual. So we have to remember that. Do you understand what I mean? There are so many things about the body and how frequencies affect the body and how waves affect the body and how light affects the body, light and sound, and then multiple effects on the body. There are limitless possibilities, and these cunts here have only scratched the surface. Do you understand what I'm saying? So yeah, imagine what they could do. Imagine the illnesses they could cause. You see it? You see how I'm coughing on clockwork? Right on clockwork. As soon as I start talking about the brain signatures, the 600 brain, the 600, what I call them there? They're not signatures. The 600 pulses that are able to influence the brain and the 10,500 biological structures that can be influenced and affect the brain. As soon as I started talking about that, then the coughs come. Like fucking clockwork. This is exactly what I'm talking about. When you have technology on this level, you can influence people to do anything, say anything. You can influence people to take their own lives. It's happened before, where people lose control of their bodies and their minds through the manipulation of their brains through this electronic torture. And then they'll go to a mental health psychiatrist who's paid off to talk about how this is fucking paranoid schizophrenia. But even paranoid schizophrenia can be fucking mimicked. They've got 600 pulses that can affect the brain, and there's over 10,500 biological structures. Again, what's 600 times 10,500? Come on now. Come on now. Even paranoid schizophrenia, they can recreate at a whim. They can recreate that in the brain, no problem. So many diseases out there that, you know, that have been inflicted on TIs and even inflicted on the public that can literally be synthesized like that. There's so many of you, you have no idea how deep this shit gets. You have no idea how deep this shit gets. I'm not gonna talk too much. It depends on, yeah, like there are lots of things that are happening, like towards the end of this year and towards the beginning of the new one, but come on now, man. Come on. Come the fuck on, bro. Like, you can't be out here just denying reality, or, you know, unless you're being paid for it. But again, evil, the same evil you're working for, that evil will fucking overthrow you with no fucks given at all, because it's evil. Do you understand what I mean? You can't go around doing these things to people and think that nothing's going to happen to you. Sorry. But anyway, I think I should go now. I think I should go. I think I should try to catch up on my rest. I really want to close those windows, because I know that, you know, it's morning and people have shit to do. But yeah, I'm going to try and rest. Again, I have that luxury. A lot of people don't have that luxury. Blessed, highly favored. I'm going to try and rest, see how I get on, and, you know, because I've got a pick a card coming up tomorrow. And also I still got to do the full moon and annual readings. That's going to be fucking lit. So go to Empress Justice Tarot and Empress Justice Daily. Like, what are you doing, bruh? What are you doing? You got to support a woman. You got to support a woman. Like, get on them YouTube channels, bro. The amount of radiation I'm exposing myself to give you entertainment. I am very generous. I am very generous. Okay, I'm very generous. I'm doing this. And I'm not even, I'm getting donations, but I'm not even getting that many donations to do it. Like, I'm giving you guys entertainment. Go and support a woman, man. Go and support a woman. Seriously. Go onto my fucking tarot pages. If I'm going to be fucking blasted with radiation every day, I've got to make the shit count. Dang. But anyway, I love you guys so much. Peace and blessings. You guys, you know what to do. Let me know in the comments how you guys are doing if you've made it this far. Yeah. Yeah, it's a mess. It's a mess, but we'll try and get through it. I love you guys so much. Peace and blessings. Mwah. Bye-bye.